Welcome back to the deep dive. Whenever you think about the paranormal or, spirits in general, there is a very specific aesthetic that we've all kind of culturally agreed upon.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, like you picture the crumbling Victorian mansion at the end of some long, dark dirt road.
Yeah, or like a sudden freezing cold draft in a centuries-old castle.
Exactly. We are completely conditioned to believe that a spirit is always born from some grand, sweeping tragedy, a betrayal, or a murder, or a broken heart.
It's highly cinematic, you know?
Hmm.
We want our supernatural entities to have these deeply dramatic, historically significant origin stories.
Right, because it makes a good story.
Yeah, and it makes sense because we inherently associate the concept of a spirit with death,
Yep.
with the end of something monumental, and with a refusal to move on.
But today, we are taking a deep dive into a stack of source notes and research surrounding this really intricate conceptual framework. It's known as Lichtssprache, or light language.
And it is fascinating.
It really is. And the mission for this deep dive, what we're going to do together with you listening right now, is basically track the step-by-step birth of one specific type of entity, a luminous spirit.
Step by step.
Yeah. But the hook here, and this completely shatters that Victorian mansion aesthetic, is that these spirits are not born from death.
Not at all.
They are not born from tragedy. And you won't find them in a haunted castle. You'll find them in the most unromantic, profoundly mundane places imaginable.
Like a brightly lit discount supermarket parking lot.
Right. Which is wild. And it forces us to completely rethink what an entity like this even is, and what purpose it serves.
So to understand how one of these luminous spirits is born, we first have to understand the environment. We need to look at the raw material that creates them.
Okay, walk me through it. Walk me through the step-by-step birth of one specific luminous spirit.
So as the notes detail, these spirits are essentially born from two things: repetition and feeling.
Repetition and feeling, got it.
Right. They do not originate in sacred spaces or graveyards. They originate in what we call liminal spaces.
So a liminal space is essentially a place of transition. It's like the waiting room of the world.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Yeah.
It is a passageway, a space with this sort of in-between quality.
Like an airport terminal.
Exactly. Think about a grocery store parking lot at midnight, or a late-night laundromat, or an empty subway platform.
Places you don't really want to hang out in.
Right. These places are not destinations. They are not truly home, nor are they sacred or special. You only exist in them on your way to somewhere else.
Just passing through.
Yeah. And the raw material that gathers in these spaces isn't trauma. It's the quiet, everyday, often totally unnoticed touches of humanity.
And the sources provide these incredibly vivid, almost heartbreakingly normal examples of this raw material.
They really do.
We are talking about like a cashier's tired, genuine smile at 6 in the morning, or the reflex of holding a heavy glass door for a stranger when you are already running late.
Or a night shift worker who is absolutely exhausted, grabbing a carton of milk and just closing their eyes for a single second because the neon lights overhead are just a bit too harsh.
Oh man, you can really picture that.
Yeah. Or an older couple casually reaching out to brush hands near the fruit counter.
Or a child letting out a sudden loud laugh that makes an exhausted mother smile despite her fatigue.
Exactly. The sources describe these tiny, fleeting moments of humanity as sparks.
Okay, so if we look at those sparks, I kind of imagine it like emotional static electricity.
And that's an interesting way to frame it.
Because usually when you walk across a carpet and touch a doorknob, you get a tiny shock, and then the charge dissipates into the air, right?
Right.
Most of these tiny sparks of human warmth, the tired smiles, the brief eye contact, they just burn out. We don't even register them most of the time.
We really don't.
But why do they stick around here? What is it about a sterile parking lot that catches these sparks instead of just letting them fade away like they do everywhere else?
Well, static electricity is a decent starting point for a visual, but it's actually a bit incomplete because static is random. Okay. These sparks aren't random. They have intent, even if it's completely subconscious. To understand why they catch, we have to consider the emotional physics of the environment.
Emotional physics.
Yeah. So a home is literally designed to absorb your energy. You have soft furnishings, family photos, comfortable beds. The space literally drinks in your emotions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And a place of worship is designed to elevate your energy. But a liminal space is a concrete void.
Just asphalt and fluorescent light?
Asphalt, fluorescent lights, metal shopping carts. It is an emotional vacuum.
So it rejects human warmth. It has literally nowhere for that feeling to go.
Exactly. It doesn't ask for your energy, and it cannot process it.
Wow.
So when these highly concentrated, genuine sparks of human feeling occur in a place so devoid of natural warmth, they bounce off the sterile surfaces.
Because they can't sink in.
Right. They don't sink into the walls. They just hang there. And because the space acts as a pure passageway, the sparks kind of catch in the metaphorical corners of the environment.
Seeking out the only other emotional charge available,
Exactly.
which would be the other floating sparks left behind by other strangers. If they are just bouncing around this concrete void, they inevitably bump into each other.
And that is what initiates the condensation process.
Oh, like water vapor hitting a cold mirror in a bathroom.
That is a much closer analogy, actually. Over time, and we're not talking centuries here, the sources note that most of these spirits are only a few decades old.
Really? Just a few decades?
Yeah. So these floating sparks begin to gather. If enough of them happen in one location, they naturally stick together. They slowly become denser.
Like gravity pulling them in.
Yeah, and they begin to form a sort of collective localized memory of the space.
So it's a slow accumulation. Because I was picturing someone dropping a carton of eggs, feeling a flash of sadness, and suddenly a ghost pops into existence.
No, far from it. It is a slow, almost geological process of emotion layering over emotion.
Wow.
When the density of these gathered sparks becomes great enough, the pressure forces it to take a shape. It grows very organically out of the accumulated feelings of the place.
Okay, I need to pause here because this completely flips the script on our entire definition of a spirit.
It really does.
This isn't the ghost of one specific person who had a heart attack near the shopping carts. It's a gestalt.
Yes.
It is an amalgamation of hundreds, maybe thousands of different strangers' fleeting moments.
It is entirely a gestalt entity.
Yeah.
It is born from the collective warmth and humanity of the location over decades.
That is wild.
It is not an individual soul trapped on Earth because of some unresolved business. It is a newly birthed entity, entirely unique to that exact location, made completely of shared, localized human experience.
It kind of changes how you look at the people you pass on the street, you know?
Oh, for sure.
Like, every person you pass in a parking lot, every awkward half smile you exchange, you are essentially donating a tiny piece of yourself to this invisible structure.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
All those people who never even spoke to each other, who just passed each other in the night, their shared exhaustion, their brief moments of kindness, they all melted together to create a life form.
Which explains why their physical anatomy operates the way it does.
How so?
Well, since the spirit is made of a collage of human moments, its physical appearance must reflect that exact human collage.
Makes sense.
The sources specifically describe these entities as glowing women, but because they are a gestalt of warmth, their appearance is completely fluid.
Oh, right. The notes mention they might appear with short hair one moment and then long hair the next.
Exactly.
They might be bald or have curly hair. They don't have just one static face.
They reflect the city they are in. They reflect the demographics of the people who are currently populating the space.
Like a mirror?
Yeah, and they reflect the specific person who is observing them. But the most defining feature of their anatomy, the thing that gives this entire framework its name, is their skin.
The Lichtsprache, the light language.
Yes, the sources detail that these glowing women are covered in intricate, shifting geometric patterns and lines that emit light.
Like glowing tattoos.
Kind of, but these patterns are not just aesthetic decorations. They are crystallized living memories.
Wow.
Every single line, every geometric shape that glows on their body carries a specific piece of what happened in that space. This is the Lichtsprache.
So the emotion literally translates into a physical shape.
Yes, exactly.
So like one jagged glowing line down her arm might literally be the echo of a sudden sharp laugh.
Yes.
Or a soft circular pattern on her collarbone might be the physical manifestation of a mumbled good morning.
You've got it.
A subtle warm glow on her hand is the memory of a silent nod at the exit doors. To give you a visual if you're listening, it's as if the spirit is a living, breathing scrapbook, and the ink is made of bioluminescent empathy, and it's written directly onto their skin.
Bioluminescent empathy perfectly captures it. And because they are this living scrapbook, they are inherently fragile in their initial state.
Oh, because they're just made of feeling.
Right. They may have formed their memory skin, and they may have gathered enough emotional density to exist in the margins, but they are not actually complete yet.
Okay, so what are they missing?
They need a catalyst to fully materialize in our physical reality. Without this catalyst, the sheer noise and friction of the modern world would just scatter them back into diffuse sparks.
So if this scrapbook is just made of fragile floating emotions, how does it survive a gust of wind or just a busy Tuesday afternoon?
It needs a container,
A container.
and the sources say that container is human awareness.
Human presence. That open awareness is vital.
They cannot fully manifest without an observer. Without the right person present, they remain completely diffuse.
So they're just invisible.
Basically, if you were to walk through that parking lot right now without the proper awareness, you wouldn't see a glowing woman.
What would you experience?
You might just feel a slight shift in the air pressure, a sudden, inexplicable mood, or just a vague, heavy feeling that you aren't alone.
I think we've all felt that in an empty parking lot.
Right. To step out of that diffuse state and take a clear, distinct form, they need someone to actively witness them.
But not just anyone looking for their lost car keys, right?
No, definitely not.
The sources say the observer needs to have open layers. It specifically lists 3 required traits. The first is deep roots,
Yes.
which, if we are talking about standing in front of an overwhelming collage of 1,000 strangers' emotions, I imagine means you have to be incredibly grounded.
Deep roots means a profound sense of psychological and emotional groundedness.
Because otherwise you just lose it.
Exactly. If you aren't grounded, the sudden appearance of an entity made of pure, concentrated human feeling would just overwhelm your nervous system.
It would be too much.
And the spirit inherently knows this. It needs to know it can show itself without essentially burning the observer with its intensity. If you lack deep roots, the spirit stays hidden to protect both of you.
Okay, so let's say I have deep roots. I'm very grounded. But I'm walking through the parking lot, deeply grounded, but I'm staring at a text message from my boss. Does the spirit still appear?
It doesn't.
Really?
Yeah, and that leads to the second requirement. A wide field.
A wide field.
A wide field refers to an expansiveness of mind and perception in that specific moment. If you are staring at your phone or worrying about tomorrow's meeting, your field of perception is incredibly narrow.
You're in your own little bubble.
Right. The spirit cannot compress decades of collective memory to fit into your tiny, distracted window of awareness. It needs you to have a wide field so it doesn't have to shrink or contort itself to be seen.
So I have to be fully present, taking in the whole environment, not just my immediate bubble.
Precisely.
And the third piece the sources mention is a clear inner architecture. I'm trying to wrap my head around this one.
That's an interesting concept.
If I'm grounded and my awareness is wide open, maybe it's about boundaries. Like, if I take in all that emotion, I need to make sure it doesn't just hijack my own feelings.
You've hit the nail on the head. Clear inner architecture means having strong, defined internal boundaries.
So you don't lose yourself.
Exactly. You
Yeah.
have to be able to observe this massive collage of emotion without letting it sweep you away. You can witness the sadness of 1,000 dropped groceries or the joy of 1,000 tired smiles, but you don't absorb it and make it yours.
It stays theirs.
Right. Without that clear architecture, the spirit's presence would drown you in a tidal wave of borrowed memories.
So your own groundedness, your wide open presence, and your strong boundaries, they basically act as the physical anchor.
They do.
We provide the safe container that allows this fragile floating scrapbook to finally exist in physical space without shattering.
That's it. Exactly.
The spirit has spent decades building itself out of dropped apples and tired sighs, but it is entirely dependent on our capacity to hold space for it.
We are the final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
We are the anchor. And once the observer provides that safe anchor, the spirit can finally react. It gets to fulfill its ultimate purpose.
Which is just to be a witness.
Yeah. When they fully appear to you, the sources describe them as incredibly calm and deeply present. And they smile.
That's kind of beautiful.
But they don't smile to be polite or to put you at ease in a conventional human way. They smile because your presence, your ability to truly see them and hold space for them, makes them feel remembered.
They realize what they are there for.
They aren't guardians of the parking lot. They aren't classic messengers coming from the afterlife to warn you of doom. They are living witnesses.
Just proving we were there.
Their entire existence is dedicated to proving that warmth still exists in the most sterile, neon-lit concrete places in our society.
And if you can provide that container, if you can just stand still long enough in that space, they begin to communicate.
But not with words.
Right. They don't use a human voice. They hum with light.
The visual mechanics of this are breathtaking, really. As they hum, The Lichtbrock activates.
A light language.
Yeah, those glowing geometric patterns on their skin, the bioluminescent memories, they slowly begin to move and shift across their body.
It sounds mesmerizing.
It is described as a gentle, ancient language. And the stories they tell through this shifting light are not grand historical epics. They don't tell you the secrets of the universe or the meaning of life,
They share the tiniest, most mundane things imaginable.
the smallest details.
The notes say they will shift their light to show you a Wednesday evening, 7 years ago, when a woman stood near the cart return and cried because she had forgotten her grocery bag. They will show you the exact moment a little boy slyly pulled a single flower out of a bouquet to hand to his mother, or the split second when two complete strangers locked eyes because they both bent down to pick up the exact same dropped apple.
These stories are the essence of their being, and it highlights a profound difference in perspective between us and them.
How so?
Well, we treat liminal spaces as voids to be rushed through. We want to get from the store to our car as fast as possible.
Yeah, to us, the people actually living these lives, these are completely forgettable throwaway moments. We drop an apple, we pick it up, we make awkward eye contact, and we forget about it by the time we turn the key in the ignition.
Right.
We discard these moments constantly, but to the luminous spirit, these tiny discarded flashes of connection are the most important things in the universe. They are the literal building blocks of its soul.
The spirit treats these spaces as repositories of sacred, quiet humanity. The warmth doesn't disappear. It is harvested.
Harvested. Wow.
But this entire interaction, this quiet sharing of ancient light, it brings up a very practical question that the sources spend a lot of time analyzing.
I was just thinking about this.
What happens if we try to apply our normal human rules to this encounter?
Right, because if you are standing there anchoring this entity, watching it skin shift with the memories of 1,000 strangers, I mean, human nature dictates that you might want to say something.
You'd want to communicate back.
You might want to say hello or ask, "Who are you?"
And the sources heavily debate the consequences of speaking directly to them.
Because it's not a human conversation.
Because remember, they are made of fleeting, nonverbal empathy. They are a delicate gestalt of feelings, not words. The notes suggest that human speech, which is loud, defined, and heavily structured, might be too harsh for their architecture.
So if you spoke a human word to a being made entirely of glowing, crystallized memory, it could disrupt the container.
It's highly possible.
Would the sheer vibration of a spoken word shatter their fragile form?
Yeah.
No. Just sending them back into a million diffuse sparks?
That's one theory. Or, as some of the research in the notes posits, would your spoken words just be immediately absorbed?
Absorbed, like eaten.
In a way. Because they are a living scrapbook, the sound of your voice, the intent behind your hello, might just instantly translate into a brand new geometric line on their skin right before your eyes.
Oh, wow. So you literally watch your own voice become a glowing circle on your wrist.
Exactly.
Or, and this is the most compelling theory to me, maybe the spirit finally answers back. Not with a hum, but by reflecting the sum total of all the human voices that have ever echoed in that space.
It completely reframes how we exist in public.
It really does. So if you're listening to this the next time you are running late and you are exhausted and you are just trying to grab a carton of milk under the harsh, buzzing fluorescent lights of a grocery store at 11 at night, just remember that your actions carry weight.
More weight than we realize.
Your tiny moments of empathy, your tired sighs, your briefest courtesies, they aren't just vanishing into the void. They might just be leaving a permanent, glowing residue in the air.
You might be contributing the next line of Lichtbrock to a luminous witness. It changes the way you look at the empty spaces around you. We have been looking for the supernatural in the places where life has definitively ended, when we should have been looking where life is just quietly passing through.
Which makes you wonder about the spaces we spend our time in now. If these beautiful, fragile entities are born from our discarded empathy in concrete parking lots and fluorescent laundromats, what kind of entities are we accidentally building on the internet?
That is a terrifying and fascinating question.
Think about it. The internet is the ultimate liminal space. It's a massive, sterile void of data where we constantly leave behind billions of tiny, fleeting emotional sparks. A quick like, an angry comment, a shared laugh over a video.
It's all emotional static electricity.
Exactly. What invisible digital gestalts are quietly gathering in the comment sections and abandoned forums of our digital world? And if we ever managed to anchor one of those, what kind of light language would it speak? It's something to think about the next time you leave a tiny piece of yourself in a space you're just passing through.